Welcome back. You're still watching Indian Open. Deccan Gold Mines has received a boost in its bid to begin production at Gold Mines at the earliest. Karnataka High Court has passed an order directing the concerned ministry to accept the company's mining lease application. To help us understand the steps that are needed to be taken now, joining us on the show is the Managing Director, Mr. Sandeep Lakhwara. Mr. Lakhwara, thanks very much for taking out the time. Let's start off first with the court ruling that has come in favor of the company's subsidiary, and how big a positive is it for you?
It's a great development. It is something that we have been waiting for several years to be granted to us. And now that we have a High Court order asking the government to process our application within a period of 6 weeks from the date of the order, we are extremely excited that all the hard work is ultimately going to pay dividends. And we should be in a position to go into gold production sometime late next year.
So the Karnataka High Court has also asked the Commerce and Industry Department to consider the application within a period of 6 weeks. What's the course of action post that?
The course of action is that we would need to follow about 3 or 4 things. One is we need some environmental clearances. We also need to go back to the district where we are going to be mining and hold a public meeting, hear any grievances if there are any. But having said that, the farmers in that area are extremely keen for the project to come up, and they have given us their consents for the project to come in and for us to acquire their land. We would also need to get a mining license application processed, for which we'll have to submit a mining plan. So once these 3 key ingredients are done, we can go into production.
All right. So when you're talking about these applications and clearances, how long would these take?
Yeah. Normally they could take between 9 to 12 months, but what we are planning to do is post the grant of this letter of intent to execute the mining license, we will be working parallelly in terms of obtaining clearances for those things that I mentioned, and contacting investors with a view to raising funds to set up our processing facilities, so that towards the last quarter, hopefully of 2020, we are in a position to go into production.
All right, Mr. Lakhwara, let's now talk about the resource base, and I want to first start off with the resource base of the Ganajur Gold Project.
Yeah, it's potentially quite large. What we have identified to date is about 308,000 odd ounces of gold, but that's only in one area. Ganajur is a fairly large deposit. It consists of what we call the main Ganajur deposit, which is the area that we have identified for mining now, which is a lease of around 72 acres. The mining lease covers about 72 acres. But surrounding this lease, there are a lot of satellite sites that, with further exploration, our technical team certainly believes very strongly that they have the potential also, that those particular satellite sites, once the exploration is complete, also have tremendous potential in terms of being rich in gold. Okay. So right now it is 308,000 ounces, but we believe that could easily expand to up to 1 million ounces over a period of time.
All right, so the 1 million ounces is the entire resource base that you're talking about, of all the belts, or just Ganajur?
No, this is mainly for Ganajur. We have other areas such as Bhavihal, Mangalgati. They're all part of the Dharwar Shimoga belt. And then further up we have the Hatti areas, where we explored. We have identified gold resources, and we are awaiting, and we have a Supreme Court order again that was issued about May last year, asking the government to process our prospecting license applications. But we are still waiting for those licenses to be physically executed. So that is another very big potential belt. So theoretically we have the Hatti belt under our control, we have the Dharwar Shimoga belt under our control, and these are the 2 areas that we are going to be focusing on over the next few years in terms of gold production.
Okay, so there's Ganajur, there's Dharwar Shimoga belt, there's the Hatti belt. Any other potential areas, Ms. Lakhwara?
Yeah, see, we have, I also mentioned Bhavihal and Mangalgati. We have close to around 15 odd areas that we believe have the potential to yield gold over a period of time. Prominent amongst them are the areas in the Hatti belt, areas in the Dharwar Shimoga belt. There is also areas such as Bhavihal, Lucky Kopa, Mangalgati, where we have done a fair bit of exploration. Again, we have identified resources, but subject to the grant of licenses, which we are awaiting on those areas as well, we plan to undertake further exploration and identify more gold resources in those areas.
Right. Ms. Lakhwara, despite having some of the best potential ground for gold mineralization, India's annual primary gold mine output is subpar. What do you think are the reasons for the same?
A very appropriate question. You know, we have been in touch with the government on several occasions. We've made several representations to the government, not just directly, but also through industry associations such as FIMI, the Federation of Indian Mining Industry, and we have been told the government repeatedly that despite this gold potential, and it really is substantial, because when you look at the geological terrain in India and compare it to countries such as, let's say, Australia, where where it has made huge gold deposits, they're very, very similar. So if those countries can produce a large amount of gold, there is no reason why India cannot do so. Why it doesn't happen, I think mainly it's the regulatory environment. It takes too long to process licenses. There is a lot of confusion in terms of interpretation of the mining licenses. There is not enough incentives for people to go in and explore. The security, even after you have spent money, as we did in the Hatti belt, of getting a license granted, or the assurity of getting that license granted is not what it should be. And I think all of these things go into the melting pot, in terms of why gold is not being produced in India the way it should. But potentially, it is still substantial, very, very substantial.
Right. Mr. Lakhwara, some time ago, there were some talks of a stake sale in some of the projects. Is that still on the cards? And if yes, what kind of valuations are you looking at?
Sure. Yeah, a stake sale is definitely on the cards. We were awaiting the issue of this grant notification letter, which we now believe should be issued over this 6-week period. We then plan to definitely approach potential investors, because the project needs close to $50 million to establish the processing facilities for the processing of gold, to provide working capital for mining operations, and we do plan to target the larger investors with a view to a stake sale, so that the funds could be raised in a combination of debt and equity for the development of the project. And as I said earlier, this is going to be done parallelly to obtaining all the other licenses, including the mining license execution, which should happen over the 9 to 12 month period from now on.
All right, so then just let me try my luck. Who, in your opinion, is the best fit in terms of a potential investor for you?
I don't think that's a question that I would like to answer right here, but plenty is too strong a word. There are certainly a few that we believe would be a very good fit in terms of stake sale, who have, companies, the larger companies that have got a mining background, particularly in India, that have developed projects on their own, that understand how the mining industry here operates, that have established networks, over a period of time with the regulatory authorities, with the government, with the industry bodies. Those are the sort of investors that we would be very interested in.
Right, Ms. Lakhwara, we'll leave it at that. Thank you so very much for joining us this morning with the details there on the particular Karnataka High Court order that's come in for the company's subsidiary. Markets have turned for the worse. We're now down in the red by about 0.1% from being up almost 0.5% in early morning trade. So it looks like a weaker session right now, with Indiabulls Housing being the top loser, down about 3% followed by Bharti Infratel and Bharti Airtel. Watching out for the bigger moves there. Reliance Industries should see whether or not it's managed to hold on to those 2.5% gains that it was at. So yes, no big impact in Reliance Industries. That's still holding strong at 1376. Well, with that, it's a wrap on this edition of Indian Open. Thanks a lot for watching. Coming up next is the F&O Show.